now. So
Yeah, well, it looks great.
thank you. Got a whole setup.
I noticed that. It's like, wow,
This
okay.
this is a 10 by 10 booth that I somehow fit into my garage. This is a booth for festivals and events, but I made it work.
Oh, okay.
Got to get creative, right?
Got to get creative. All right. So you can still hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. So I have my YouTube up here on the side so that if I see anything come up over there, I can check it out. What do I have to do? Oh, there it goes. I can. So we're already recording. I went ahead and set it up to live record.
Perfect. Hey, Stephania's in here.
Right. So I guess we're just on.
Yeah.
I'm used to my platforms where you have to go and tell it, okay, go live. But I think we're live.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, hey, this is Emily Leach. I'm the founder of the Freelance Conference. Thank you so much for joining us. And I apologize in advance if there was any back and forth with the links that had to get changed last minute. But it sounded like I caught it like 2 minutes before the event, or 3 minutes before the event. And it was supposed to send out the links 2 minutes before the event. So I was like, yay, this is great. And I just saw, how do you say it? Estefania?
Stephania. Yeah.
Estefania. Ooh, that's even better. Estefania was cool, but Estefania is awesomer. Um, so, Andrew, thank you so much for reaching out to potentially create another way that the audience, freelance business owners, could kind of start bringing in some extra money, fill in that financial gap during this period of time, but it doesn't have to stop when this is over with. It can kind of continue to bring in extra income, sort of be the side hustle to your side hustle, or the side hustle to your full hustle, any of that kind of stuff. So tell us a little bit about what you got and how people can take advantage of it.
Yeah. So right now, I wanted to come in with you and help the freelancer community, because what we've seen in Austin is we've seen a lot of people creating funds, right? The city's created funds. There are nonprofit organizations. There's all kinds of GoFundMe's. I've seen a lot of focus around business owners, which is also important. But, as you were the first one to create a freelancer fund, right? Because the freelancers
Correct.
aren't being focused on enough here in Austin. And as we all know, freelancers hurt from the South by Southwest cancellation, from the virus taking over, people losing jobs, businesses shutting down. It's caused a lot, especially in the freelancer community, right? A lot of freelancer clients are the ones that are hurting from all of this, which means if the freelancers clients are hurting, the freelancers are hurting because the clients can't pay the freelancers.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So
They
what
cancel
we
projects, stuff like that. Yeah.
exactly. And then there's even been times where I'm sure some freelancers have had to refund the things that they weren't ready to refund, money that was already spent for equipment that they needed that now had to somehow get refunded. It's really set Austin into this hectic spin. So what we wanted to do as Ruckify is come in and offer a solution, especially to the freelancers, to use our platform, because out of all the audiences that we speak to, I feel like freelancers benefit from it the most. Ruckify is a rent anything platform. You've got photographers, videographers, you've got all types of different freelancers that have garages like what I'm sitting in right now, full of equipment, canoes, kayaks, cameras, video cameras, Xboxes, Wii gaming systems, every TVs, monitors, literally, we're a rent anything platform. So it's a way for freelancers to make a little additional money while they're struggling with all this. We're not going to say it's going to turn them into a millionaire or it's going to replace all the money that a freelancer is losing, but it's definitely a great way to come in and at least help pay some bills and float by while all this is going on.
Yeah, this is really a think outside the box kind of option. And so it may take a little bit of encouraging on our part, maybe some of that thinking outside the box for them, because like myself, when you and I first talked about this, I was like, how does that help? And you brought up a couple of examples like, oh yeah, like for instance, I have a couple of great big games that sit out in my garage that I made for the conference a couple of years ago that aren't being used. And there's there's companies that will need those games. I mean, right now is probably not a great time because we're doing social distancing, but um, this isn't always going to be like this. And so, hey, maybe I can use Ruckify to start renting those games out and bring in a little bit extra income. So, what are some other just quick ideas? I know you talked about some equipment if you did South by Southwest stuff, but let's kind of get a little specific if we can, because sometimes we as humans can't quite put, the two together.
Right. So a couple of things that we're doing right now. We launched a program in Austin and in Canada where we're trying to partner with like computer repair companies and pawn shops to do computer rentals, laptop rentals right now because people's kids are not going back to school. And so they're having to do virtual, right? There's not enough computers in a house that has 3 kids going to school for all 3 to be on a computer at the same time attending virtual classes, right? So they're going to have to rent computers. They don't have the funds. Most people don't have the funds to go out and buy, like I'm doing this on an iMac right now, a $1,500 iMac. I'm not buying 2 more of those so my kids can do virtual
Yeah.
school, right?
Yeah.
I'd much rather just rent one for the next 2 months throughout the school year and then return it when I'm done with it because I don't need 3 computers in my house all the time, just right now with all of this going on, right? So computers is an example. If you have an extra couple of laptops laying around. A few other ideas is right now, you said you have big games in your garage. Businesses can use them, but right now families are trying to figure out, what do I do with my crazy kids for the next 2
Exactly.
weeks?
Thanks.
Right? So it's like, I have 3 kids at home right now. They're all supposed to be back in school today, and they're at home for at least the next 2 weeks. And I honestly believe they're just shutting down school for the rest of the academic year. And
Yeah,
so we're trying to figure out, how do we keep those kids busy, right? We don't have enough laying around the house. And you're right, social distancing. I can't take them to a jumpaline place. I can't take them to Austin Parks and Pizza. Literally, we have to keep them busy at home or out in nature, right? So if you have a big tent in your garage, right? I'm going to take my kids camping. My tent fits 2 people. I've got 5 in my house. I'm going to have to rent a tent to go camping because I can still go camping. Nature isn't canceled, right? We just can't be in big crowds.
Right.
You can go camping. Things like those are a couple of ideas.
No, that's great. And I loved your idea of equipment. The computer was a great one. There's a lot of freelancers that may actually have an extra laptop or 2 sitting around that, they've upgraded, and it's perfect still for kids trying to attend virtual classes and stuff like that, because maybe they don't need the extent that we need right now.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, and the cool thing, so the biggest question we always get is, yeah, I'll rent my computer out, but like this one right here, this is a MacBook Pro, the newest one, right? This is a over $1,000 laptop. If this was an extra laptop, my biggest fear would be, well, what if they break it, right? Kids are going to use it. The likeliness of it breaking is high. Well, the good thing is, yeah, right, and mine. So they don't touch this one. But the good thing about renting out through Ruckify is we provide insurance, right? So what that means is that we cover any item up to $50,000. So people are renting out their boats on Ruckify because our insurance covers theft or damage of any item up to $50,000.
And you guys also have the option, we talked about this the other day, of doing a deposit.
Yeah. So if you don't want our insurance, you can just do a refundable deposit. So, hey, you put a deposit in, as long as you return my computer back to me in the same condition I gave it to you, I'll return your deposit. Now, what I would tell
is, just to be clear.
Yeah, whatever the item is. So what I do tell people is, originally we take a higher cut if you're using our insurance, right? We normally, what we charge is a 10% cut if a 10% cut if you're renting out items on our platform without insurance. We take 10% of whatever the rental is. Or if you use our insurance, we take 20%. But with everything going on in Austin right now, we waived all our fees. So we're not taking any cut at all. You literally, it's free to sign up, it's free to list, and we're not taking any fees.
Wow, we really appreciate that.
Yeah,
so talk to me real. So
yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I just said we really want to help. I mean, we really are here to help. So we're not making any money on this.
Wow. Again, thank you very much for that. I know there's going to be at least a few people that take advantage of this and really just incorporate it. Like I said, be in the beginning of this is, this is kind of being introduced as a stopgap, if you will, but it doesn't have to be.
Right.
You can take that stuff. The first people that came to mind for me was like photographers. They don't use their cameras all the time, potentially. or you brought this idea up, is I've upgraded and I still have my old camera. It was good. I just kind of outgrew it. So maybe there's a group that needs an extra camera and is renting it.
Right. Or, I mean, if you have lenses, right? Sometimes photographers need a specific lens for a specific job. If you need a specific lens, but you don't want to go buy that multi-$1,000 or hundreds of dollars lens, you can go rent it from someone on Ruckify, complete the job and give it back to them. So you're not losing money to invest in a lens that you're really only going to use for that one job.
Absolutely. It just kind of keeps going as I really kind of start thinking about this. You talked about the boats, and the first thing I think of is kayaks and, like you said, camping equipment, maybe ice chests, who knows, you don't want to go spend $80 or $90 right now on a bigger ice chest, because is it something you use all the time? I've got one up in my attic, and maybe I could put that on there. And what are some other items that rent really well that could really spur some thoughts right now for freelancers to
So right now, the highest requested is equipment, gym equipment, right? So treadmills, weight benches, because everybody's on quarantine, so they can't go to the gym, right? So right now, the biggest request we're getting is for fitness equipment. So if you have an extra treadmill sitting in your garage that you're not using or whatever, you can rent that out. We have, Austin's big on outdoors, and especially right now, the quarantine is happening, but you can still go outside. Right. And that's the only way any of us are staying sane. So kayaks, canoes, paddle boards, camping gear, things like that are a big hit too.
Is there any specific verbiage copy that kind of helps things get rented over something else? I mean, the first thing that I thought of was, do I need to document that I'm cleaning it every single time between uses or something like, is there anything like that that helps?
Yeah, we definitely suggest making sure, one, everybody cleans and sterilizes everything, whether you're renting out or renting from someone, right? And we do what's called touchless delivery. So it's called Ruckify Express. And the best way to explain it is like Uber, right? So if you wanted to rent out your kayak, but you don't feel like delivering it, Ruckify Express will pick it up from you and deliver it to the person renting it from you. And when they're done, they'll pick it up from that person renting it and deliver it back to you. And the user pays for that, not the person renting it out. And our drivers are sterilizing items as well when they're doing the touchless delivery, because they pick up from a doorstep and deliver to a doorstep. Obviously, we're not doing face-to-face interactions right now, but we're asking all people, sterilize it before it leaves your house, and sterilize it before it comes back into your house, to make sure that you're keeping everything clean and making sure you're staying safe.
So how does somebody get started on this? I know you kind of wanted to go through that process. Do you want to do a screen share? What's the best way to do this?
I'll do a screen share and I'll go through this slide deck just to show some examples and just to give me an idea of what I'm trying to explain. So let me pull this up. Can you see my screen all right?
I definitely can. If anybody out there can't see the screen, if you'll jump on and let us know, that would be great.
Yeah, let me know if you're watching this and if you can see it. Let me see. I don't think I can see the chat box. I'm going to assume if you can see it, everybody can. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Someone's saying, all right, good. They can see it.
It looks like
so. I'll just go through this pretty quickly and we can kind of have a conversation about it, right? Ruckify is the company where the world's largest peer-to-peer rental marketplace to ever exist. We have over 500,000 items on our platform right now, over 16,000 in Austin. So the whole idea right now is understanding that with all this COVID-19 stuff going on, with the economy changing, the market crashing, when we all come back from this, when we're off of quarantine, there's an article that said our economy is going to be 25% less than what it was. What that means is that the purchasing behavior is going to be different, right? People aren't going to want to buy anymore. They're going to want to save money, so they're going to want to rent instead. So the whole world is changing with the market crashing and COVID-19 happening. So I'm not going to say we're going into a recession. I'm not going to give any advice on the financial side. That's not my world, but it is something that we all have to pay attention to right now. So literally you can rent anything. If you see in this picture, there's the bike, the couch, the VR headset, Xbox 360, a guitar. I mean, literally almost anything. I have to say almost anything because I've had some crazy requests. We can't rent guns. We can't rent hygiene. You can't rent out a toothbrush you use. Like there's specific things you can't rent out on the platform, but pretty much anything you can rent out. If it's laying around your house, you're not using it, it could be making you money. And I like it because when I look at it now, when I buy something, I see it as an investment versus just a purchase, right? So when I buy something, the first thing I think is, when I'm not using this, can I rent it out, right? Like if I want to own a kayak, but I know I'm only going to use it 5 times out of the year, I can turn that into a revenue generating income for myself. So
makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So benefits of Ruckify, you can earn income. There's no cost, right? You're not investing in items. You're listing what you already own. So it literally doesn't cost you anything. You can do it on your own schedule. There's the convenience of the touchless delivery through Ruckify Express, which means you don't even have to deliver it. Now, if you want to deliver it, you can make extra money by delivering it. So I do deliveries because I want to make that extra money to deliver an item. All right. I'd rather deliver it myself than Ruckify Express because I can pocket that. All right. So you can help your community and you can help the planet. Our goal is to get people to stop buying so many items that they don't need. Right. If we think about it, we all own ladders, right? But we use them twice a year to put up Christmas lights and take down Christmas lights. The rest of the time it sits in our garage, right? Or lawnmowers, for example. We cut our lawns twice a month in Texas normally, right? So that means 2 days out of the month we're using our lawnmower. The other 28 days it's sitting in our garage doing nothing. That thing could be generating you some money, or if you don't own one, you could be renting one instead of buying one, which can get expensive, right? Yeah. Oh, let me go back to the screen here. We have different tools. So we have invoicing, delivery, protection, payment processing. You can check performance. So right here on the left side of the screen, you see that picture. That's a dashboard, right? So you can see how many people viewed your store, how many rentals have come through, how much money you've made. We even have marketing tools where you can share your rentals on social media. So you can share it on Facebook and say, hey, I'm renting out this, come rent it from me. We offer customer service. And the coolest thing that I love is the security, which is not like Craigslist, right? Everybody who uses our app goes through a screening process and it checks for fraud and criminal background because we want to make sure that all of our users are safe. Just like that when you get into an Uber or a Lyft driver, they're safe, or you rent an Airbnb, it's a safe place for you to be. It's the same thing on our platform. We make sure that no one has a criminal background or fraud history because we don't want people renting to steal items. Even though we provide insurance, it's still, none of us want to deal with that. You can categorize items and choose which items are active or inactive. So if you're using an item, you can block out dates, right? So if you have a kayak and you're going to use it next weekend, you can just say, hey, it's not available that weekend, right? Gotcha. So cool kinds of tools. As simple as, take a picture, post it. Our team makes sure that it's a real item, that is not against our platform, our community standards, and then you share it and you get paid. Right? It's really that simple. It's just like putting an item on Craigslist. You can list, if you want to charge daily, weekly, monthly for it, hourly, if you want to do hourly. You choose all of that. You choose how long they can rent it for, if there's a refundable deposit, or if you use our insurance, or if you don't want a deposit or insurance, you can opt out of all of that. You can choose delivery styles if they have to pick it up, if you'll deliver it, if they have to use Ruckify Express. You have complete control over all that stuff. The cool thing, these are all the values, right? Different kinds of values. It's a great side hustle and way to make some extra money, right?
So real quick before we move forward though, oh man, I had a question real quick. That was a good one. On that last piece, can you go back one? It'll probably remind me of what that was. And let me see what's posted. Oh, it was going back to the concept of setting up your actual piece. I know that you could just take a picture of it, but again, is there some advice there on specific amount of pictures? Do you see things get rented more that have 3 or more pictures, that have pictures of every side or angle, or do you really see that it doesn't make a difference?
There's definitely a difference. It's kind of like when you're trying to rent a house, right? If you have a house that's dimly lit and just doesn't have professional pictures, it's not as attractive as a house with better pictures, right? So what we say is you can upload up to 8 pictures. We definitely suggest good lighting, right? Best quality pictures you can put up. Doesn't mean you have to be a professional photographer, but
Right.
we all have one of these, which takes
Yep.
pretty high quality pictures, right?
Mine
So
does. Yeah.
yeah, so what we say is make sure that it's good lighting. You're getting all the angles. You're showing it in the best lighting. The better it looks, the more likely it is to be rented versus everybody else's.
Okay.
And
I
then
kind
on
of
pricing,
figured.
you can contact customer support. You can look what other people charge, right? But we always say look at what other people are charging. If you have more questions or you don't know, I mean, renting out an Xbox, that's new, right? Like no one knows what do you charge to rent out your Xbox. So you can look around or you can ask customer support and they'll tell you what we see rents for the best pricing.
All right. So how about your copy? I mean, obviously you should put some sort of description. Is there some specifics that people really should follow to again to help rent? I know when I go to buy stuff on Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, I typically like to buy the stuff where people take the time to write a description. They put the dimensions, they put some detail in there. Have you noticed
Yeah.
any difference in that?
Yeah, so we have the title and headline, which is the first thing they're going to see, right? So the title and headline, you want to be kind of creative, right? I always like a more humorous one versus like straight to the point. I don't want to just say like an iMac, right? Like if you can make it a humorous headline or something to really capture attention or very defined headline, right? In title, so people know exactly what they're getting, right? Like I have a tent and a sleeping bag and a sleeping pad that I have for rent on Ruckify, but I don't rent them individually. I have it as one camping package, right? Because if they're going to rent the tent, they'll probably rent the sleeping bag and they'll probably rent the sleeping pad. And I'm not trying to nickel and dime people, right? So I just put it as one package and I just call it the adventurers package, right? So, or the solo adventurers package, because it only makes sense for one person. I only have one sleeping pad and one sleeping bag. The tent can fit 2 people, right? But it's probably going to be more for someone who just kind of wants to get away from society and do their own thing. So something like that. And then in the description, yeah, being extremely detailed, brand, model, dimensions, everything that's included with it, the condition of it, being as defined as you can in the description. Just like you said, it's going to get more rentals. If they don't have to ask questions to rent it, that's better. If they have to reach out and ask you questions, it's more challenging. They can do that on the platform. They can message you directly on the platform. But I always say, it's better to not have them to have any questions and just have them booked there.
Yeah, because the problem with questions are it's great that you can ask them, but if I'm not sitting right here at my phone or my app or computer to see when it comes across, that's right then is when the person was most likely, going to hit buy now, rent now.
Yeah.
And they said, well, I can't get my questions answered, so I'll either do it later or find somebody else.
Yeah, most likely they'll just move on to the next one, right? Because we're an impatient society. Amazon before all of this was like same day delivery. So when they're looking at renting something, they probably want to rent it now.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Any other tips that you can think of right off the top of your head, since we're kind of in that space?
No, just good images, good copy is extremely important, right? And if you have questions, if you want people to review your images or your copy, our support team does that too.
Okay. Thanks so much. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
Okay, so this is all the values, right? I'm not going to read through them, but there's a lot of values of using it. Side hustle and revenue generation is my favorite. I use it because for me, it's just extra money that, pays my water bill, my electric bill. It's not paying my mortgage right now, but I don't have a whole store with a ton of items, right? I'm listing a few items and it's covering a few of my bills. And our electric bill is only going to increase right now with all of us working from home, right? So I can't work from my co-working spot and my kids are driving me crazy.
Right.
So this is the on-demand delivery. This is what it looks like. So when they use Ruckify Express, when they rent from you, they see it like this. So they'll see where the Ruckify driver is that they're picking it from your house. And they don't even see your address, right? They just see a dot on the map. And then it shows them while the item is making its way to their house. So this is really cool. This is a new release we just created. so they can actually track it. We've had Ruckify Express for a while, but now we have it where you can see the item being picked up and delivered to you on our platform. And this is what's cool for us germaphobes or that have kids. I don't want people coming to my house, right? So I'd rather either deliver it or have Ruckify Express pick it up and deliver it right now with everything going on. And the Ruckify Express drivers are given standard procedures of making sure they clean everything. So it seems like I look at some people are chatting in.
Yeah, there was a question, and you've actually already answered it, but let's go ahead. Does Ruckify provide delivery drivers with sanitation products?
So we don't provide them with the products because we're in 30 different cities around the world. But we do give them standard practices and procedures and make sure that they're following that. But it's kind of like saying, hey, we're making sure HEB workers are sanitizing the cereal boxes, right? It's always more safe to sanitize the item yourself too before you handle it.
Right.
You never want to put your safety in anyone else's hands, no matter what procedures are in place. They asked, do we reimburse for those costs of the sanitization products? I don't know the answer to that. I would say yes, or I can't say yes or no because I don't know the specific on that. This is so new right now with everything going on. So I don't know the exact answer of if we are reimbursing it. But I would assume it's kind of like gas, right? It's an expense that you have when you drive for Uber. You don't get your gas reimbursed. So I am not sure on if we are reimbursing the cost of sanitizing products, but I can get that answer for you, Steve, when I talk to my team. So follow up with me, Steve, and I will let you know on that.
Thanks for the question, Steve. That was great.
Yeah, definitely. And safety is our biggest concern right now for everybody. So if you are renting items and they rent it from you and it comes back to you, even though we are making sure our drivers are cleaning products, please make sure that you clean off the item before you bring it into your house as well. So we got the dashboard feature. That's it right here, right? This is what it looks like when you have items for rent. You can see how many people have viewed your store. And this, what's cool about this is, Emily, you were talking about copy and pictures. This is going to show you how well your items are doing. So you'll know, okay, 5 people viewed my store, but no one rented. Maybe I need to look at my copy. Maybe I need to look at my images, right? So you can kind of see, it's just like any other marketplace, like Shopify, right? If you have a Shopify store, you can see how many people are viewing and conversion rates. So you can see, okay, I'm not getting very many conversions. Maybe I need to make some adjustments and split tests here, right? So you see that dashboard, it shows views, it shows total rentals, it shows how much money you've made and how many rentals you've had. I love the dashboard.
When do you guys do payouts?
The payouts are, I believe it's every 2 or 3 days. It's pretty quickly after the rental has taken place. I'm pretty sure it's after the rental is completed because we want to make sure that if that person needs to be charged extra for anything or if it extended, we don't want to charge them once and then charge them again and then charge them again. So we wait until the rental is completed for the charge to come through.
Okay.
So, and then it's a secure platform. Like I was saying, everybody goes through a screening to make sure they don't have any fraudulent charges and that they don't have any criminal histories. About 6% of people who try to sign up for Ruckify are declined because we don't want it to become a Craigslist, right? I don't know how many of you have posted on Craigslist lately, but all I get is Nigerian princes promise me all this money or asking to pay me through PayPal or asking for my social security number. So you're not going to get that here because everybody, when you sign up, you have to use your legal name. You have to use your legal address and it checks that. If you use a nickname, Ruckify will automatically decline it and you'll have to put in your full name, right? Because you have to use your real name and your current address. And if your current address doesn't match your driver's license, we're going to ask you for your previous address because we qualify and screen everybody that goes onto our platform. We didn't want another Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. We wanted to make sure it was a safe place for people to do business.
So I see renting reviews down there. It's pretty obvious people, after they rent something, can go in and write a review. Is that something that I need to go out and ask people to do? Are they prompted to do it? Kind of like what Lyft does, gives me a quick 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. And do things rent better, of course, if you have more reviews?
Yeah, so it's just like Uber or Lyft. When you get out of the car, right, it prompts you to rate the Uber driver. It's the same way on ours. When the rental is over, it's gonna pop up and ask you to give a rating, and you can give as much detail as you want, right? And the more reviews an item has, the higher it's going to show up in search, and the better the reviews, the higher it's going to show up in search. Now, if we see a trend of negative reviews, you're going to end up being kicked off the platform, because we want it to be a good interaction between, our users. So we keep a close eye on reviews. Now, we also understand just because you get one bad review doesn't mean you're getting kicked off the platform.
Right.
But if we're seeing a common negative reviews, then we're going to have to review the account and probably ban people from the platform that get too many negative reviews. So.
All right.
We're all about sustainability. So for every time someone signs up for a platform, rents an item, leaves a review, we plant a tree. So we do this through a company called Eden, who plants trees all over the world. We're really big in reforestation and sustainability, right? The whole idea of getting people to rent and not buy is to get us to stop using so many of our resources for items that we're not using, that are just sitting in our garage, right? We're realizing now people are more concerned about experiences versus owning items, right?
Yeah.
Like, I used to be materialistic, but now I care more about creating memories with my kids. So I want to go rent a canoe or a couple of kayaks and take my kids out on the river versus just buying a kayak to own one, right? Because I'm not going to use a kayak enough to own it, right? But I would rent it. And we're the height of innovation, right? So the sharing economy is obviously drastically increasing with Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, Turo, all of these different platforms, right? What we're doing is we're becoming innovative because we're the rent anything platform, right? So it's not just houses, it's not just cars, it's anything: houses, cars, office space, items, products. We are literally going to be everything. Right now in Austin, we don't have it yet, but in Canada, we're doing Ruckify RV, which means people are renting out RVs. Yeah. So we will get that into the United States. It's just not there yet, because as you can imagine, insurance is interesting on that side of things, right?
Nice,
so we got to get our way through all that. Okay. So simplicity, right? The app is easy to use. So if it's someone that's not tech savvy, they can use it, right? It's no different than posting on Craigslist or on the marketplace. It really is simple. Now, when you first post, it's going to seem like a process because it's your first time, right? And there's a lot of questions to answer. How much do you want to charge? Do you want to charge a deposit, right? Do you want an insurance? Will they pick up? Are you going to deliver? So there's going to be things. The first time is going to probably take you about 15 minutes to post one item, just because you're learning the system. After that, it gets a lot faster, and renting it is easy, right? Obviously, posting is going to be more challenging than renting, because posting, you have to answer all the questions. Renting is just, when do you want it, and submit your request. So you get to connect with the community, right? So it reconnects the community through adventures, outdoor adventures, hobbyists. It really helps people reconnect the community, and it supports the community. Right now, freelancers are out of work, so we're doing a call to action with freelancers, business owners, employees, service workers. We're asking Austin, hey, instead of buying that item, go rent from people in Austin, because people renting out their items in Austin right now are those being hurt and being negatively impacted by restaurants and bars being shut down, events being closed. So we are asking Austin, hey, instead of going to Walmart to buy that item, rent from your neighbor, because they need the money, right? Walmart doesn't need the money. HEB is doing great things for the community, but they don't need more money, right? They are sold out right now. So they got plenty of money. Who doesn't have money is your neighbor down the street that just lost their job and is trying to figure out how they're going to pay rent on the first, right? So we're doing that call to action. This is our online booking platform, right? So everybody wants to do everything online. So having your own Ruckify store, right? You can post items if you just want to post a couple items, or you can build a whole store on Ruckify. Like if you're a photographer, a videographer, you can build a photographer, videographer store on our platform. One of the people on our platform is Precision Camera. So if you don't know who that is, they're a very big video store here in Austin.
Here in town. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like the Walmart of videography. right? A huge store, and they are on our platform renting out items as well. I don't mean this in a negative way, but when there are businesses that rent out items on our platform, it opens up the ability for a freelancer to make money, because obviously a freelancer doesn't have to charge as much money as a business
Right.
does, because they don't have to worry about overhead, employees, rent for their business, right? So if you have that extra camera laying on your dresser, you're going to charge less than Precision Camera, whose business model is based around renting cameras, right? So it gives you a little more ability in the marketplace to get more rentals, because you don't have to charge nearly as much money as a big business or a
To make it
business
work.
owner would,
Yeah.
right? So we got the reviews, which you and I went over, right? So we want to make sure that everybody knows what it's going to be like to rent from you, or so we make sure the reviews are important. We have support, guys. We have a team that supports everybody in the biggest way possible. We have a team that will, I'll get to the concierge in a minute, but this is a side hustle, right? You can make a side hustle out of all the items that you have. This is where I wanted to get to, the concierge. This is what's awesome, right? So let's say that right now you have, you have an item that you're looking to rent, but you can't find it on the platform, right? Austin is still new. We only have 16,000 items in Austin. So you may not be able to find everything. If you can't find it on our platform, we have a concierge team that will go find it for you. That we call them the sourcing team. So if you request an item, you don't see it, you fill out a form, our team will personally go and find someone that has that item, get them on the platform, and get them to rent it out to you. You say how much you want to spend and what you're looking for, and our team will go find it for you.
That's crazy. So how do you find those people?
Oh man, my team uses all kinds of things. They use Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. They reach out to business owners. I mean, they are hustlers, right? They work day in and day out. This is literally their full-time job, is to find people that own these items and get them to rent it to our users.
This is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, this is all hands-on, right? So what's cool is Ruckify is still new. So we're about 2 years old. We're a couple months old in Austin, so we're still very hands-on. So it's very person-to-person interaction where our team works hard to help each individual user. We want people to love Ruckify, so we're doing everything we can to make that happen.
Well, fantastic. Is there anything else that we need to go over to help people understand how to get on the platform, how to use it, why to use it?
Now let me go through. So we got the Ruckify store marketing. So we have the social share buttons on our platform, so you can market your items for rent, right? Because you may have some friends on your Facebook or your social media pages that need to rent something. I mean, you could create a freelancer store. Emily could create a videographer freelancer store. People could list their items on your store. You could charge a little commission to list items. You could literally create a freelancer store on there, right? And share that out to your social community so people could go and rent items from your store. We went with insurance. It's a great fundraising platform. If you have friends that have nonprofits, or if you own a nonprofit, the best way to look at this is, instead of asking people for a monetary donation, rent out items, because now you have recurring donations, right? Versus just asking for money one time. Gotcha. And then how to rent, right? They discover, request, experience, return. It's that simple 4-step process. We got that, right? That's the gist of it, right? We went through, last thing. All right. So the broadcast is extremely important. What we have is a Facebook group and an email list in Austin. So if you want to know when people are requesting for items and they're not listed on our platform, we create broadcast groups. So if you're like, hey, let me know if someone's requesting something that's not on the platform, I may have it and may be willing to rent it out. You join our broadcast list and our Facebook group, and every time we have a unique request come into Austin, we'll post it in there, and you can be the first one to say, hey, I have that sitting in my garage. I'll rent it out to that person. And that's the gist of it.
I mean, a couple of other things that just came to mind for me is, some of the simpler stuff, even, I don't know how many people do this, but, I have some silk plants even around my office here, that who knows, maybe somebody's trying to set something up, a little shoot in their house that they need to decorate a room for. And, silk plants are ridiculously expensive. So maybe I just rent a couple for the day. Do you have an extra desk? Do you have extra office equipment, especially with a lot of people having to come home to work from home right now? They may not be set up to work from home. And so they're looking for, like you said earlier, with a computer, that temporary computer itself. But what about the place that sets a computer up? Yeah, you can work at the the table for a little bit, or even the counter, but that can get very tough after a while. You know, your back starts to hurt because it's just not made for that. So they may be willing or interested to go and rent some of that stuff. So if you have it sitting around, maybe you just changed your office out, you still have your other stuff in the garage. My mind goes all over the place now after
Yeah, I mean, right now
talking.
there's so many opportunities because people having to work from home. They probably don't already have a work from home setup and need some items. But with the market crashing, losing jobs, or a lot of people took pay cuts, they don't have the money to go invest and go buy a bunch of furniture so they could rent it. Real estate agents use us to stage houses, right? So it's like they're going to stage a house and they need some furniture or products to lay around the house. That's another way, right? I mean, there's so many opportunities right now. And it's hard to say it this way, but this whole experience has opened up the opportunity for rentals to make more money because people are having to work from home. They have kids to keep busy. They are losing jobs, which means they don't have the same amount of money they had before to spend. So they're probably going to rent versus buy. And just the computer example alone. I mean, I'm not buying 2 more computers for my house for my kids to keep doing school until May. That's pointless. It's a waste of money for me. I don't need 3 computers in my house. So I will rent them. I did rent them so that my kids can do virtual classes.
Well, and the other thing that I think could potentially happen out of this is once people experience it, if it truly is, is seamless and simple to do with between the delivery and some of the other options, it could stay in place.
Right.
Sometimes this can be hard to get up and running because you're having to break a barrier, if you will, that people are just kind of used to going and having to buy the kayak or the whatever it is they're using. So I'm excited about it myself, and I hope people will give it a shot and try it out, because I think it could really add, like you said, even if it's mailbox money.
Mm-hmm. Just a little bit of money. I mean, it's free. The cool thing is you're not buying anything to list on there, and everything that you're listing on there is sitting in your house anyways. So let's say it doesn't get rented out. I mean, it doesn't make a difference, right? Because it was sitting there anyways. So unless you're trying to sell that item, then obviously you want to make sure it's getting rented. But if it's just sitting around your house, I mean, we call it patient inventory. It's not making you money either way. So what does it hurt to get it on the platform?
Well, if anybody has any questions, we'll probably be on here for a few more minutes. Feel free to ask either through the Q&A or just even the chat. We're watching both of those. And if you're out on YouTube, same thing. Be happy to hear from you guys as well. So real quickly, I know you said guns. That makes perfect sense. Aren't rentable on the platform. RVs, of course, aren't quite there yet. Are there any specific items that off the top of your head that absolutely that just can't be rented, that might be worth kind of going down that list real quick?
There's specific items that we don't cover under insurance. So when it comes to children's items, we can't cover under insurance because of the liability, right? So we can't cover like a car seat under our insurance. We can't cover toys or strollers because if a child is injured using that item, right? So we can't cover that under insurance. You can still rent it on the platform. There's just specific things we can't cover under our insurance. Drones is another thing we can't cover under our insurance because different places have different laws on where and when you can use drones and things like that. So based on the laws around how drones can be used, we can't cover those. But outside of that, I can't think of off the top of me. If you think of things that you probably wouldn't share, like hygiene stuff, a big thing I tell people is if it's not replaceable, don't list it on there, right? If it has some emotional attachment to it, we can replace it, right? But if it's emotional attachment to that one specific item, I wouldn't put it at risk of anyone touching that item, right? So like antique stuff that your grandparents passed down to you, you may not want to rent that because it has an emotional attachment. Yeah, our insurance can cover the cost of it, but we can't replace that item, so I always tell people I wouldn't rent out anything I have an emotional attachment to, but there's not many of those items that I have in my life. So it's pretty easy for me. Oh, we got a Q&A there.
We do. What do you think about items that are normally linked to accounts such as Google Homes and Amazon Echoes? Would you just set them back to factory settings or just to advise not renting them? Another
Yeah, I mean,
thing,
I would.
other
Uh,
things I asked real quick because it may be in your answer is what about stereo speakers? Not like PA stuff, just the speakers. And would you rent out furniture items?
Yeah. So on the first one, the Google Homes and Amazon Echo, yeah, I would just reset those to factory settings, right? I'd have no problem with doing that myself. I mean, I don't know how hard it is to reset back to factory settings, but I would assume it's not that difficult.
It's not.
So I don't see a problem with that at all. As far as stereo speakers, yeah, people would rent that a lot, especially if they're doing like a pool party, things like that. They don't really need a PA system. They just want some speakers so that they can have louder music out at their pool, right? And then
Yeah,
furniture, yes, furniture rents out really well. Tables and chairs was doing well before all of this happened because of events and stuff like that. When the coronavirus isn't happening, event tables and chairs are our most popular items.
really?
So
Like
like
dining
foldable
tables
tables
or?
like this and chairs.
Oh, okay. Huh.
So yeah, furniture does well. So it's up to you if you want to deliver or just do Ruckify Express, but furniture does well for staging. People that maybe are just in Austin for a little while, getting settled, and they just need to save up some money to buy furniture, so they just need to rent it. I mean, I don't know what it is now, but wasn't it like 150 new people moving to Austin every day or
It
something
was
crazy
something
like that?
crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
So yes to all of those.
Yeah. And of course, we already kind of went over this, but any of the furniture stuff, make sure if it's fabric, spray it down, make sure you're covered when it comes back. What about outdoor furniture?
Yeah, I mean,
Right
outdoor
now it's
furniture.
rainy, but tomorrow we got the sun coming back out and I can see a little bit of blue sky up there.
Yeah, and outdoor furniture is going to do well. I mean, everything outdoors, I think, is going to increase over the coming weeks because we're all stuck inside. So we have more cabin fever than we've ever had before, right? So we're going to want to be outside more. And I mean, if it had to happen, it happened at the perfect time of year, right? It's going to be in
Right.
the 80s this week. It's going to be nice. So we can't go and be around other people, but we can go and get outside and be in nature. So if you have outdoor stuff, what I would do, like personally, what I would do is I would find things in your garage that you could rent out that have to do with outdoors, like camping tents, gear, maybe some little camping stoves, whatever you have, right? If let's say you have those items, I would create a whole family package, right? Hey, stuck at home with your kids, take them out camping this weekend. I know we're doing social distancing, but camping, you have space from your neighbors. The nature isn't canceled, right? It's not dangerous to be in nature right now. You can't catch the coronavirus from a blade of grass. Like you can still be out there in nature, and your kids are driving you crazy. You need to get them out of the house and let them go
Take,
run wild, right? There's so many like marketing ideas and thoughts that you can literally build a business around this. You can build a rental business using Ruckify without having to deal with contracts, without having to figure out insurance, all you have to do is market it. I mean, we're marketing
yeah.
it too, but if you want to make some extra money, if you market it yourself, you could probably have a couple people from your Facebook group rent from you pretty quickly.
Yeah. And if you think about, your local area, I mean, right around your neighbors and stuff, you may think about your weed eaters and your lawnmowers and any of that kind of stuff. And who knows who just moved into the neighborhood or who just doesn't have the equipment because maybe they usually hire it out. And right now they're not hiring it out because that's an expense.
Yeah,
So they may rent from you and they walk down the street and they grab it and they mow their yard and come back. I know you said you
exactly.
only do it every couple of weeks, but my grass must be crazy because we mow every week already.
Well, and I hire it out, right? But for people that, like you said, people are losing their jobs and they're having to cut down on money. I mean, I'm being very, very cautious about what I'm spending right now because we don't know what's happening in the market. We don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know what it's going to be like when it comes back, right? It's never going back to normal. We're going to have a new normal. So I think everybody's being more cautious about where they're spending money. So services that they would normally hire out, they probably are not, they're canceling those services now. So um,
Right.
plenty of
So
opportunity.
So for any of you guys that watched the video that I did with Katrina Cobb on Friday, where we were talking about how to think outside the box and diversify the offerings that you have as a freelance business owner, this kind of falls into that same conversation, just a little bit different. Think about um, the tools, the physical products and things that people rent out using, or farm out, like getting their yards mowed, getting their houses clean, maybe things, any of those kinds of things where you may have some of those physical items that you can now rent out because they may be pulling back on a lot of those expenses, like we just talked about, in order to, even if right now they can't afford it, they may be being very proactive and saying, okay, I'm going to cut every expense I can right this minute.
Right.
And so they're going to have to find a solution for that in the interim.
There's a lot of opportunities, a lot of ways to get creative here for sure.
There is.
Anyone else have any more questions for us? I'd love to, or ideas. Like anyone have creative ideas? I always like hearing that, right? What we're doing right now is reaching out to gym owners and asking them to provide their equipment because their gyms had to shut down, right?
Oh, that's
So
a great idea.
yeah, so they can make extra money off of their gym equipment because they're not making money right now with having to be shut down for everything.
Exactly. And a lot of the gyms are doing, are offering some sort of online program for some of their classes. So if the person could, rent the equipment that they would need and then attend the class virtually, they kind of get both sides.
Right. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great upsell too. Hey, rent my camera and I'll give you some virtual classes on how to take better pictures, right? You can upsell a digital course if you wanted to people. We have no rules about upselling. You can upsell to people if they rent items from you. You can use it as a lead gen platform to sell digital courses or digital trainings or consulting, whatever you want. Obviously, it has to be digital right now, but
that's really interesting. What about tools and stuff? I've got saws and that kind of stuff that literally people ask, can I come over and cut this piece of wood?
right. Yeah, I mean, right now the virtual tools are doing the tools are doing best. That Ruckify was created because the CEO and the co-founder got together and like, man, I needed a saw to cut down this tree that fell in my yard, but I couldn't. My saw wasn't big enough for how big the tree was. And wouldn't it be great if I could just go to my neighbor's house and give them a few bucks to rent their saw real quick so I could cut this? And that's how it was created. So power tools that you have laying around the house is another great example. People are bored, right? So some DIY projects are going to increase right now. It's a great time to complete that honey-do list while you're sitting at home.
We are, and we have kind of a running list that we keep, and so we have been kind of, because even though you may be working from home. I mean, I work from home all the time. Bobby does not, so he's home, because he works for the city. But there is time where you just have to be available. Maybe you're waiting for somebody or waiting for a response from something, and if you were at the office, you would still just kind of be sitting there or maybe roaming around talking to other people. So since you're at home, we're like, okay, well, that little thing right there can be done in the next 20 or 30 minutes while you're waiting for something. So you're right. We are taking on, small projects here, there, and yonder and getting things done. And I remember when we moved into this house, when we moved in here, we didn't have a rake, a shovel, a hoe. We didn't have anything. Moved out of an apartment. And at that point in time, Ruckify wasn't here, but we went on to the neighborhood app, or Next Door, I think is what it's called. And we said, hey, we need a circular saw and a ladder. Does anybody have one? And it was so wonderful that the guy right across the street brought it over like in an hour.
See, it's amazing. And that's the thing, because we definitely promote the whole buy nothing groups and the sharing and all that too. But with the economy right now, we're focused on, helping people make some money, right? Obviously, we all want to be good neighbors and give items, but we all also want to keep our lights on and pay the bills too, right? So it's just, it's a great additional way to make money. I know we all want to help our neighbors, but right now, a lot of us, I took a pay cut, right? I took a pay cut to stay with my company because we all are impacted by this, big and small companies. So we're a startup. We had to make some hard choices and hard decisions. And I had to make a choice of a pay cut, but I didn't care because I knew, okay, I'll take that pay cut and I'll just make it up by, renting a few things out on Ruckify. So I wouldn't tell people to do it if I didn't do it myself.
Well, we appreciate the integrity a lot.
Of course.
Well, I think we're out of questions at the moment. I do believe you're a member of the Freecon community, freecon.community. So in there, this is going to be put inside of that community so people can watch it anytime. So you might want to go in a couple times a day and just see if people have questions as well. Guide people in there. And any of you guys that showed up, I sure appreciate it. And until I think I have another digital event going on later this week that you guys could take advantage of. Every time I meet people, amazing people like Andrew here, where we have just ideas of some way that we could help connect the gap, remove that gap in this time period. I'm going to get on with you guys and talk about it. So, man, I appreciate you guys reaching out and coming up with a way that we may be able to get some people to earn some extra income in the meantime.
Yeah, and my email is aobrien@ruckify.com. So if y'all ever need that, aobrien@ruckify.com if you want it. Or you can just find me on the Facebook groups and all that and ask me questions directly too. So I'm here. Oh, we got one more question there.
Yeah,
free
somebody
con
just
community.
asked about the community. So I think hopefully I got the right. It's free to join. So go ahead, it's freecon.community. And join up. We got a lot of really great stuff starting to happen in there. It's a new group. We've only been around for about 4 or 5 months, and it was launched out of the Freelance conference. So come out, join. All right, I think that's it. Again, thank you so much for your time today, Andrew.
All right, thank you. Thank you for letting me do this with you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.